Hey guys, this is Matt with ForHydroponics.com, and today we're going to be talking about some of the pros and cons of vertical lighting. So first we'll say that vertical lighting is definitely a hotly debated issue. The difference between vertical and horizontal are well documented all over the internet. You'll have a lot of personal opinion, a lot of passionate opinion about which one is better, should be used in this community, but I really recommend looking into it yourself, experimenting with some of this stuff, documenting your experiments to try to figure out what is doing better for you. It seems like they both kind of have their own application. So keep in mind with horizontal lighting, the idea is that we don't have a very deep canopy. Growing very large plants with horizontal lighting was not really the intended use. Growing larger plants, it does make sense to have a horizontal light hanging down, but keep in mind that the back side of that plant would be the equivalent of the underside of your plant with a horizontal plant. So that you need to grow your plants a little bit differently. Some of the pros of horizontal or vertical lighting are going to be that you can stack lights on top of each other very easily with like cool tubes. You can use them in a very small space, which makes closet gardening and very small rooms much more useful to an everyday person. Using that vertical space to your advantage can come in really handy in small spaces. Because a lot of these lights are not shaded or hooded, they are easily cooled. The heat just rises right up to the ceiling and you can just exhaust it out. So it is nice that the temperature, the way the heat comes off the bulb is a little bit easier to manage when you're not running any kind of shade. Keep in mind that when you are using these parabolic hoods, it does tend to trap heat underneath the hood and redirect it to your plants. So you want to keep some nice airflow going in your garden and don't let your plants get too high up underneath that hood, or it could be a hotter temperature than you want underneath that shade. Some of the other benefits would be in a scenario where you have a high plant count, you can do quick turnaround. It would make a lot of sense to set up some kind of vertical system just to have complete use, 360-degree use of your bulb. And when you don't need large plants and large veg times, it also works really good in that scenario. I would recommend monocropping in that scenario, taking all the same plant, all the same family, and keeping it all the same height. That will really give you the best advantage with vertical lighting. Also, some of the other uses I can think of off the top of my head would be for very large hydroponic systems where you're growing very large plants, even in soil, some very large plants. Your horizontal light is only penetrating maybe halfway through your canopy at this point, but you want the entire plant to be able to sustain dense flowers or fruits. So you could hang 1,000 watts or 600 watt vertical bulbs on either side of that plant or inside of your hydroponic system to really light that lower section of these big plants and make them produce the way we want them to produce. Some of the cons of horizontal vertical lighting, are going to be that the light is unfocused. So you'll have a lot of people talk about how the fact that the light's unfocused means that a plant's only getting a quarter of the light at any given time, which is a valid argument. But then obviously how much do we lose through glass and reflectivity? So there's always going to be that debate, but they are unfocused a lot of the times. They do make some hoods that can be air cooled, that do have more focus, that are a little bit more expensive. They are usually pretty tall. The actual silhouette of them is very tall, so you have to have relatively high ceilings to run some of those air-cooled vertical hoods, but they do make them. And then some of the other cons I can think of, they don't have any light coming out the end of the bulb. So in these parabolic old school hood reflectors, right underneath the bulb tends to be somewhat of a dead spot. They do trap some of the heat underneath these hoods, like we said, so keep your eye on that. But other than that, they basically have a really, they have a pretty general application. They can be used the same way horizontal lighting can be used from start to finish in a scrog, but more of a vertical scrog scenario. Plants stacked all the way around them. Stadium plant gardening works really well for using light evenly, as well as V-scrogs have been really popular with vertical lighting. So they have some really cool applications. They might find your way into your room, whether it's in supplemental lighting to keep lower stuff happy, or whether it's your main light source and you've actually got a system designed around that vertical light. They do have some really cool applications. We have a lot of different versions on our website, a lot of different configurations on our website, so come check them out. I hope this video helped you guys out, and we'll see you next time.